Ciao, sono Sara Z dalla La Land. Incontrerò grandi ospiti provenienti da ogni parte del mondo. 4 chiacchiere di condivisione culturale e linguistica per scoprire le loro vite e storie. Enjoy!
Jean-Jacques Pillet! Ciao Jean-Jacques. Welcome
Hello,
to
hello.
Hollywood.
Thank you.
Welcome to Hollywood. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well. Yes, it's good.
Yeah. Allora, I'm gonna speak Italian for the entire interview. You have to figure out what I'm gonna say. Dunque, I saw your face going.
Yeah,
Jean-Jacques
it's okay.
Pillet.
It's good.
Jean-Jacques Pillet, stage director, former classical dancer, and for 13 years he has been the artistic director and also choreographer and director for Cirque du Soleil. Ooh, we're gonna get into your, into your life. But before, Jean-Jacques, before we start, I really would like to say something that is very dear to me, and I want everyone who's live right now with us. By the way, ciao a tutti, hi to everyone who's live with us. Jean-Jacques and I met in Italy 15 years ago, and he created for me a remarkable, compelling, fascinating role, and he really pushed me to my limits. And from that moment, we became so close, we became good friends, and our friendship is still growing. And also we share like such an artistic show that was the one we did in Italy. And also from that moment, he pushed me and he gave me strength to audition for Cirque du Soleil. And I landed a job for Cirque. I came to the United States and my life changed. So, grazie Gigi. Thank you, Jean-Jacques.
You're more than
Very
welcome.
quick in Italian. I'm sorry. Then I give you the word and you can talk.
It's okay.
I want to translate in Italian. Io in italiano. Io e Jean-Jacques ci siamo incontrati 15 anni fa in Italia e lui ha coreografato uno spettacolo. Ha creato un ruolo molto affascinante che per me è stata una grande sfida e da quel momento ci siamo uniti tantissimo sia come amici e anche artisticamente. Inoltre mi ha spinto tantissimo oltre i miei limiti per fare l'audizione per Cirque du Soleil. E ha creduto in me, he believed in me, and oddio, you see, I'm getting confused English-Italian. Sono riuscita ad avere un lavoro per il Cirque du Soleil e sono migrata negli Stati Uniti e da lì la mia vita è cambiata, grazie Jean-Jacques. Ok, by the way,
You're welcome.
because you, I don't know if you knew it, but you were my mentor, you have been my mentor in that moment of my life, sei stato il mio mentore. Did you have a mentor, Jean-Jacques?
I think, I mean, we all do have mentors, right? And for me, you see, it's in the visual art. I always loved the work of Giacometti and the work of Rodin. They were the two for me that really touch on my sensibility regarding human nature. And also with, I'm always been quite fascinated in how can art capture these examples, can make the marble or stone or whatever they work with, and for some reason when you look at them you feel like they're speaking, like there is a heartbeat in very heavy material. And that for me always such I have to say a creative vision that can be explained. You know, how can you turn this type of material into a jewel that feel like speaking? Or
see, what kind of material Jean-Jacques was?
Well, it can be some it's marble, some it's metal.
Marmo. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so very quick, I translate what you said, it's very important. Ho chiesto a Jean-Jacques se ha mai avuto un mentore, lui ha detto che I suoi esempi sono stati i due scultori Rodin e Giacometti, e lui è sempre stato molto affascinato da come questi due scultori sono riusciti a lavorare il marmo, comunque il materiale, e rendere vive le loro opere. Quindi you got inspiration from them, ti sei ispirato a loro.
Yes, very much, especially when I was choreographing. This was definitely there is something very, if you think of Giacometti, the vision that he has of humanity is so special. Like, you know, Dali had it as a painter. He was showing us the time, he was showing his vision and interpretation of life, you know.
Certo, Giacometti ci mostrava la sua visione della vita attraverso le sue opere, e Jean-Jacques ha utilizzato questo per coreografare i suoi spettacoli. So, how was working for Cirque du Soleil for so many big shows? Like, you were the artistic director for Varekai, then you choreographed Zed for the Disney Tokyo Resort, and Zarkana, that I saw because you invited me to New York. It was such a great show. And in Zarkana, Zarkana was at the Radio Music City Hall in New York. How was your experience working behind the scenes of so many huge shows?
Well, it's funny, you know. I mean, you know how life is, right? Sometimes you say, okay, I'm going to have that experience, I'm going to make that jump, and then we'll learn how to swim, you know, when we get there. But with Cirque du Soleil, it's first of all, it's such a wonderful machine, wonderful company that really brings you to a level of freedom. Varekai, first of all, we know it. It's a wonderful show. Dominique Champagne staged it. Great director, Canadian, Québécois. And at one point during this contract, for some reason, I needed to change something. You know, the show was good, was great. The artists were amazing. But for some reason, I was like, something didn't me. I was like, okay, what it is, you know.
So c'era qualcosa che non funzionava in Varekai e tu volevi cambiarla. You wanted to change what was not working for you.
Yeah, what wasn't working for me, you know, that's very important to say, because the show was good. But at one point, to make a very short story, Guy Laliberté came and see the show. And for some reason, that show was a catastrophic evening, which had a very hard time to explain, okay, where this started, why suddenly everything is falling apart, and more the show was going on, worse it got.
So you're talking about the premiere, vero? La premiere dello spettacolo è stata catastrofica.
Correct. It was a premiere, but in Chicago. You know, we had just finished New York, and it was in Chicago. And next step, we were going to Los Angeles, which is, as we all know, the kingdom where Cirque du Soleil was revealed to the world. Mm-hmm. So I was taken into that thought of, okay, what should I do after this very shitty show? I had to speak with Guy Laliberté because he was there also, you know, to see that.
Guy Laliberté era lì e a lui non è piaciuto. He didn't like what he saw, of course.
No, he didn't quite like it, no.
Did he blame who? When this happened, did he talk to you? Did he blame you? Ha dato la colpa a te in quanto direttore artistico?
No, he didn't blame me, but for sure he had quite a few questions for me. He could not understand why suddenly the show was falling apart. So I explained to him a little bit in detail, you know, my understanding the reason for this bad show. But to cut to the next step, the next day I had to meet with the artist to explain to them what Guy had told me, to explain to them also the decision I came to take for the next 4 or 5 weeks that were coming ahead of us before leaving Chicago to Los Angeles. And my inner voice, my inner feeling was telling me, you know what, these artists know the show by heart. They have been performing it already for close to 300 times. and I could realize that any thought corrections, inspiration that I could find did not make, it really did not. It was, for some reason, the show was, and I was stuck with the show.
You were stuck, yeah. So Jean-Jacques Pillet ha dovuto prendere una decisione, una seria decisione, perché comunque lo spettacolo non stava funzionando e lui si sentiva quasi bloccato, non sapeva che cosa effettivamente non funzionasse nello spettacolo Varekai.
So what I decided to do is to stop correcting the show, to stop talking to the... Yes.
You stopped, so ti sei completamente fermato dal correggere lo spettacolo, perché ha anche detto che gli artisti conoscevano già lo spettacolo a memoria. Sì. Quindi ti sei completamente fermato a dare le correzioni. That's a big thing.
Yeah, it was a bit bold, especially for the last 4 weeks. I was going to see the show from time to time. I was like, oh my God, am I making the right decision? But what was interesting, it's but 4 weeks into this process, something started to change on the show. You know, yes, the artist was doing what they're supposed to do, but for some reason, the characters were coming alive on such a level that I hadn't seen them perform. And I was like, oh, that's very interesting. Not that it was a surprise, that was my goal. My goal with this process was to free the spirit within these
humans. So this is, Jean-Jacques, if I understood, by the moment you stopped correcting the artists, they gave up, like they gave up their freedom, finally. Cioè nel momento in cui non hai più corretto, loro hanno dato il meglio in scena.
Correct. That's what I was feeling when I was watching the show at the time. And and more we were getting into that process, more these artists, these human beings were revealing themselves through the character. So it was not perfect, for sure, but it was becoming to be free. You know, freedom in the interpretation of each one of those roles was starting to appear. And this for me was very pleasing, because that was really what I was missing for some reasons. As I said, the show was good before, but I was missing something.
So what do you think was the reason for you? What do you think, for you was the reason they finally showed themselves as artists? Qual è stata secondo te la ragione per cui loro si sono liberati? So why do you think this happened? Perché è successo questo?
You know, first of all, you know, I took a chance because they knew the show part, right? So they were really very well rooted in what the show was about, but they were so rooted in very specific parameters that I felt that they were in jail, that they were in prisons, right? That was while they were performing. And that's what I wanted to break. I wanted to take a chance and break it. And the only way to do it was on stage in front of the audience. There was no rehearsal possible or anything like this. It just happened in front of the audience.
Oh, so, okay. Can you give us more details? Like, so you corrected them in front of the audience. Tu hai corretto gli artisti davanti al pubblico, in scena?
Not correcting, but to free them. Authorize them to go in different directions in some way.
How did you do that? Come hai fatto questo con gli artisti?
I was very sharp, because remember, it was right after a premiere that was so I simply said, don't even come and knock on my door if you want some corrections or any advice. I'm not here for anyone. I was just a little bit pissed off, you know.
Jean-Jacques era incazzatissimo.
Exactly, I'm out of there, you know, don't even think of me, I don't exist anymore.
Sì, Jean-Jacques ha detto agli artisti: non provate nemmeno a bussare alla mia porta e venire da me e chiedere correzioni, perché non ve ne do più, basta, con voi ho chiuso. Però lui dice che ha detto che in scena è riuscito a liberarli da questa trappola, in questi parametri nei quali loro erano chiusi, intrappolati, e l'ha fatto davanti al pubblico.
Yeah.
So,
to close that story, because it could be very long in the process,
sì.
the process is very important. And realize that even if you know so well your art form, if you know so well your role, there is always a moment in this process that you have to change things. You have to take a chance again. You have to take a chance again on your own knowledge. You have to change your knowledge. You have to change who you are. You have no choice, because that creativity, if not challenged, it falls asleep, and it becomes like this.
Wow, sì.
So we have no choice but to move things around, to check things up, you know. And if creativity was a person, probably it will be a little bit like, you know, okay, leave me alone for a little while. But you can't. Being a creative, it's not about resting on your creativity. It's about becoming vulnerable to a point that something happened in you that is constantly in movement.
Sì, sulla creatività dice no, non la si può fermare. Se fosse una persona la creatività ti direbbe basta, lasciami stare, ma non puoi farlo effettivamente con la vera creatività. E deve essere sempre in continuo movimento, è sempre una sfida senza bloccarla o fermarla. But I'm wondering, with so many shows, and I was part of Cirque du Soleil as well, and I remember it's very easy to fall into the pattern of the habit, no? L'abitudine, perché facciamo, gli artisti fanno sempre tanti spettacoli a settimana. So how can you break that, like the habit of repeating the same choreography?
Well, I think it's a state of mind as well, you know. If you are not conscious that you are repeating things without making them evolve, it's like in our lives, you know, if we do the same thing over and over the same way, we will be bored with our own personality, our own human being, because we don't push the envelope, you know. We need to keep evolving. And regarding the shows, it's exactly the same. If you go on stage each time knowing exactly perfectly what you do, that's one thing. But if you take a chance on your knowledge of the show, well, you might influence all the other artists around you to follow your path. You understand? Yeah, is that clear?
Yeah, so you're saying like the part about people around you.
If you decide to take a chance on all the material that you know you've learned, which the show itself, if you take a chance on that and push the envelope further, push yourself to the next level of your understanding, or to a deeper level of your understanding.
So you take what you have, but then you have to
push it further.
Push it further, like a higher step.
Correct. Deeper, you have to dive deeper into the root of that creation, that creativity.
Yeah, so Jean-Jacques says it's very nice what you just said, very useful for us, because this you can apply this for in every aspect of our lives, in ogni aspetto della nostra vita. So quello che noi sappiamo, invece di rimanere fermi, dobbiamo portarlo a un livello superiore. Solo così possiamo crescere sia come persone e esseri umani, ma anche artisticamente.
Yes, and you're right when you say we can apply this to every field of our life. Yes, for one simple reason. It's your creativity is not just part of an artist. An artist is someone who chooses creativity for his job, for his career. But we all have creativity. We are all creative beings, you know, all of us. We come from the same energy, the same roots, and we have a choice at one point in our life to let it rise, in order to become the language we will be speaking. You know,
Sì.
I often say creativity is, sorry, I took a note of that. Yeah, creativity is a very thin thread.
Sorry, Gigi, Jean-Jacques, creativity is?
Creativity is a thin thread that have a loud voice.
Is a thin thread that has
A loud voice.
a loud voice. So la creatività è un filo sottile con una voce potente. I love it. I love it.
No, but it's
No,
true.
but it's a nice image, una bella immagine questa.
Yeah, and that's what is very interesting in, you know, the title of my conference is The Awakening of Creativity, because it's a matter of learning how do you listen to that part in us that is extremely vibrant, but most of the time we feel it's silent, but it's not.
Sì, esatto, in tutti noi c'è una parte di creatività, in ognuno di noi, perché non è solo per chi lavora nell'intrattenimento. E noi pensiamo che sia silenziosa, in realtà non la è, solo deve essere risvegliata. Infatti la conferenza di Jean-Jacques si chiama Il risveglio della creatività. How can we really awaken our creativity when we feel that we are empty, that we don't have it in certain moments of our lives? Is there something we can do to awake our creativity? C'è qualcosa che possiamo fare per risvegliare la nostra creatività?
I think the first thing it's to stop. It's to stop the concept of being creative. What does it mean? You know, we are in our lifetime, we are the witness of that, and we will still be the witness of that. You know, our life is guided by concept, so many concepts, concepts of being perfect. What does it mean? Being successful. What does it mean? To be a rich person. What does it mean? You know, so all those concepts put us in boxes that we have to fit in those boxes. The problem, there is one box for each one of us. So how come we should fit in some other?
Right. See.
We have our own voice, and I think to awake creativity within ourselves, it's to find the unicity of that voice.
Yeah. So lui, esatto. Jean-Jacques dice ci sono tante scatole, boxes, e noi vogliamo inserirci in ognuna di queste, la fame, il successo, però in realtà dobbiamo ascoltare la nostra unica voce. And yeah, the difficult part, Jean-Jacques, is to sometimes pull it out, you know, because also we used to compare ourselves with people that maybe are more successful than us, and we're like, oh, they are there and I'm here, you know, they're there and I'm here. And then instead, what happens, instead of pushing us, we might stop because we're afraid. We
Correct.
think that we cannot do it. So that's it.
And that's the, sorry to cut you, but that's the big problem. That's the biggest problem. It's we are trying to reach certain standards because of our surrounding. But if the surrounding does not exist, okay, if let's say the surrounding, everything that we are surrounded by, with, whatever, does not exist, how would we feel?
Okay, if the surrounding doesn't, so you're saying
if the comparison with others does not exist,
right?
What would become of us?
So sì, Jean-Jacques dice, Jean-Jacques, Gigi for me is Gigi. Jean-Jacques dice, per esempio, facciamo finta che le persone attorno a noi o i paragoni non esistessero, che cosa faremmo? Avremmo ancora quel pensiero di dire, oh, lui ce l'ha fatta, io no? No, questo si eliminerebbe. So we would eliminate this concept because if nobody's around it, it's just us. So what would we do?
Well, we will start by breathing. We will start by not making too much noise because there is no one else to listen to our noise. We will simply be within yourself, with our own self, and we will be listening to whatever comes. And and that zone of where something comes up within ourselves and we can identify it, that zone is part of our creativity zone.
So the zone of silence.
Of course.
Right? Yeah, quella zona di silenzio, quel momento di silenzio o area di silenzio è dove noi possiamo splendere.
Yeah.
You know, like
it's very important to learn. It's very important to learn how to listen to silence, because when we create something, it goes very quick. It's a very quick process. You know, there is a voice for some writers will tell you, okay, the character has spoke to me and I have to go now in that direction, but that was not the plan of the author. But the character decided to make that turn right, is turning right, and you have no choice to follow it.
So you're saying if the character talks to you as an author, you have to follow what you feel or what the character is feeling in that moment instead of listening to yourself as an author.
Yeah,
it's
correct.
Just hard, that transition. È difficile ascoltare la voce del personaggio, perché lui faceva l'esempio di uno scrittore. Quando uno scrittore scrive deve ascoltare la voce di quel personaggio, non la sua in quanto autore.
Yeah, it's, you know, when we write about characters, the character speaks to us in his own frame of mind or directions he wants to go into. You have no choice to not interfere in this. You have to abandon yourself so the voice of whatever comes out of you stays as pure as possible. Because as soon as it gets into in between our two ears, then we start to intellectualize what we felt. And this intellectualization of our feelings are based on what society is giving us.
That's true. Yeah, so quello che sentiamo, i rumori, quelli udibili, sono quelli che ci distraggono, quelli che la società ci impone, quindi dovremo cercare di metterli a tacere. E all of this is coming with the breathing? Like you think that...
Well, we have to learn how to listen, you know.
Imparare ad ascoltare. Mm-hmm.
Even if I don't speak about creativity for a second, but we speak with some people around us. We meet people. I mean, not so much these days, but we do meet people, and sometimes we listen or we hear, but we listen, but we hear.
Ascoltiamo, o meglio, sentiamo, ma non ascoltiamo.
Yeah, and the art of listening is a deeper level of understanding the situation or what's happening within us.
Yeah, even though nowadays it's very, very hard because we are bombarded like it's a bomb, you know, social media, like Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and you and I talked a lot about it, and it's so difficult to let, sorry, did I spit on myself? It's so difficult to let that external voice to shut up or shut that up because of social media, that it's imposing us and so invasive in our lives nowadays. È molto invadente ora questo social media di Instagram e Facebook è difficile mettere a tacere quella vocina e ascoltarci profondamente, perché ora, as you see, like people like they become famous just like posting a video on YouTube or like,
Yeah.
you know, what the artistic level, what's the artist, what.
Yeah, but you know, I feel like, you know, this is a time where creativity is very much how would I say, is very much influenced by what's happening outside of ourselves, you know. And as you're, we get bombarded with all those informations, but those informations are not ours. They are someone else.
Certo, sono informazioni che ci arrivano, ma non sono le nostre, arrivano da
Exactly.
altri pianeti, other planets.
Exactly, and it's not us. And if we have, I remember that quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Oh, Ralph Waldo Emerson, sì.
Yes. He had said at one point, don't go where there is a path. Instead, go where there is no path and leave a trail.
Ah sì, ha detto Ralph Waldo Emerson, non andare dove c'è il cammino, il percorso, ma vai dove non c'è un percorso e lascia una traccia.
Absolutely.
Beautiful, beautiful.
That's very important. In creativity, when you want to create, is extremely important. Why using a path that was made by someone else when with your own voice, what you can create one? And I think today with all the influence, the outside influence of the surrounding, the very powerful surrounding that exists today, you talk about social media, but it's with everything. The sad thing in all this, we think it's progress, we think it's moving forward, but actually it's moving outside of ourselves. It's not moving forward.
Sì, se noi pensiamo che questi social media ci portino in avanti e che sia un progresso in avanti, in realtà non è così.
Sì. And it's very important to learn how to listen what's happening inside us.
Ascoltarci veramente, ascoltare quello che succede dentro di noi. E Jean-Jacques, how would you apply the vulnerability that I know you spoke about in your conference with the creativity?
Well,
like you mean insecurity being vulnerable for you, or maybe if you went down that path when you worked for Cirque, la vulnerabilità nella creatività.
I can tell you that you definitely go through great amount of vulnerability when you create for companies like this, because you have to rise above what you know of yourself.
You have to rise above what you know of yourself. Sì. Ho
Yes.
chiesto a di che cosa pensa appunto della vulnerabilità nella creatività, che poi è anche una parte del discorso delle sue conferenze. E lui dice, ovvio che devi andare in quella direzione per poterti scoprire o per creare. So vulnerability makes the best of us.
Oh yes, definitely yes. I know it's very, very, very uncomfortable. Vulnerability is often something we want to run away from. But vulnerability, when we really understand what is in the depth of our vulnerability, we will realize by feeling it, having the knowledge that it's there, but not grasping on it, will become a very important strength for our path, not just artistically, but in life. Because vulnerability is part of us, except that we put it aside because, you know, it's disturbing, you know, the ego doesn't like too much vulnerability.
Certo, all'ego non piace molto la vulnerabilità e cerca di metterla da parte, ma abbiamo bisogno di essere vulnerabili. Like sometimes I feel the best of our work, or my work as a writer, or when I used to dance, it comes when we are living a situation in our life that it's of discomfort. But I want to debunk that. Voglio un po' sfatare questo, because people think, oh, that means you have to live a very bad life, or you have to struggle so much in order to make it, to be famous. You know, no, it's not that. But it's when you become so emotional, and part of your creation, like instead of being detached, sometimes we want to detach ourselves to don't suffer. And instead, we need to be inside and suffer in order, I mean, for me, in order to be at the top of our...
Yeah, the suffering is not... I think we as artists, we have a different vision of what suffering means. You know, it's bizarre to say vision and means, but we have a different understanding, let's say, you know. It's not like we are doing harakiri to us, you know, every 10 minutes, you know, to feel something. No, it's the feeling we have as artists are so deep that sometimes we don't have words for them. We feel. We don't express with words all the time. As a dancer, as we were, Sarah, others maybe were listening dancers, we speak with our body. So we have to go so deep inside ourselves in order for the movement to be, how would I say, to be dressed with such energy, such an aura. So it's powerful movement, not just beautiful, but powerful, anchored movement. And that is when we dive into our deeper vulnerability, that we bring that strength. It becomes strength, you know, and not a whatever failure kind of concept that society have at vulnerability. Vulnerability is a strength. An actor, when he learns his text and he has to start playing the role, he's going to have to take a chance, not just for the character, but for himself.
Yeah, sì, è vero.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sì, no, scusami, in italiano. Per quanto riguarda un danzatore, non c'è solo il semplice movimento, the mere movement, ma dobbiamo veramente scavare dentro di noi per portarlo ad un livello superiore. Quindi è una ricerca della nostra vulnerabilità. E poi faceva l'esempio di un attore, quando deve imparare una parte, non sono solo le battute, ma ovviamente deve mettersi a confronto con se stesso. Yeah, for an actor, I feel is so much deeper the work, because it's about words, it's about the personality of another character, sono le parole, le battute, la personalità di un altro personaggio che un attore deve, con cui un attore deve riscontrarsi.
Yeah.
Also,
if I can say one thing, Sarah, on what you just said, because I understand perfectly Italian, right? But
sì, no, I think you do. Secondo me sì. Secondo me sì.
Yeah, no, yes, I do like the Italian. Yes, that's right. You know, I'm trying to speak. But no, there is something very important that you said, and which I experienced with you when we did this project in Italy, this project Tableau.
Sì.
There were many moments in your character, in the way you got involved in your character, that Sarah disappeared.
Oh, thank you, grazie.
And the character become you.
Yeah, that for me, Jean-Jacques, that was unbelievable. Really, so Jean-Jacques dice, quando lui ha creato il personaggio per me in uno spettacolo italiano, in Italia, che si chiamava Tableau, lui dice che ero arrivata a un punto in cui non vedeva più Sara, ma vedeva il personaggio. But this was thanks to your guide, because you really guided me through that. I remember you saying, think as if you have eyes behind your head, like in the back, and you can see like 360 degrees, and you can see from every angle. Like mi diceva, quando ha creato questo ruolo, di immaginare di avere degli occhi dietro alla testa e vedere tutta l'angolatura del mondo a 360 gradi. For me it was the first time that a choreographer, a director would say something like this. La prima volta che qualcuno mi dicesse o mi desse questo tipo di indicazioni, perché lì I understood. In that moment I understood. Io ho capito in quel momento, Jean-Jacques. You did an amazing job, like really. It's rare, è raro.
But as you know, also we should not forget, I mean, thank you for your kind word, really, but we should not forget creation is not one person. Creation is like playing ping pong, right?
Sì.
And we send each other creativity that we have decided to stage. You know, yes, the creator at one point, of course, makes will create the path for that solo or whatever that piece we are creating, but in the end, by ourselves, we are no one. Nothing, no magic can happen.
You have a company, Arch Stream Production, e già hai già dei lavori
Yeah. We are
nel bozzolo, insomma, che devono diventare farfalla. You have those jobs in cocoon and they have to become butterflies.
I thought you were talking to me about a new recipe that I should try.
About what?
A pasta recipe of some kind.
No, I'm not that a good cook, no. No,
but
voglio ricordare your production company, Harsh Stream Production, and you have already a lot of projects because Jean-Jacques is writing so many shows. You already wrote it, by the way.
yes,
but now with COVID, everything stopped. But they're going to see the light. So.
Yeah, it's many times people have asked me why giving a company such a name, Harsh Stream Production. People find it hard. And I often tell people, you know, creativity, it's like a stream of water.
È come la creatività è un ruscello d'acqua. Per quello ha dato questo nome.
Yeah, sometimes when it's really hot during summer, a stream, the bed of a stream is empty of water. And that happens with art. Sometimes we can feel empty. Sometimes the inspiration is not there. It's very painful. It's not, nothing is easy about that type of zone that sometimes we can find ourselves, but that's part of the process. It never really lasts
forever. A volte
forever.
ci sentiamo vuoti, svuotati, come capita a un ruscello, appunto, per quello ha nominato la sua compagnia Arch Stream. So we want to see the light, the sunlight of your...
But just to complete the thought,
sì.
Even if the bed of that stream there is no water, it's dry, the first rain that will come, the rain will fall back into the bed and we'll start singing again.
So anche quando un ruscello è secco, senza acqua, con la prima pioggia si riempie di nuovo. And this happens with our first probably inspiration that comes to us. We fill out our brain, our soul and heart with that rain.
Correct. Yes. Absolutely. It's a flow. The flow of creativity can never the flow of creativity can never be stopped. It can be hurt. It can be off sometimes, but it can never be stopped. And the harsh, it's for all the stones there is in the bed of the river. Whatever, how many stones, big stones, small stones, whatever the ambush that will be found on the path of this water, it will always be able to find the bed on the other side. And that's very important to remember, because creativity is that. Creativity is not easy, it's not hard, it's a flow that we authorize to come and we let it rise.
È un flusso che noi autorizziamo a venire. Ovvio, si può fermare, si può bloccare, intrappolare, però è sempre lì presente come le pietre in un ruscello. So many images! Tante immagini. Gigi, we gotta go! We gotta go! Dobbiamo andare perché la mia paura è sempre quella che Instagram non salva il live. E se non ce lo salva dobbiamo rifarlo e tu dirai yeah! O no. E anch'io sarei contenta perché vorrei fare un live con te di 5 ore. Grazie mille Jean-Jacques Pillet, writer, stage director, choreographer, director, like the well of creativity, un pozzo di creatività e vulnerabilità, and vulnerability.
Yeah, it's very important.
Grazie mille, grazie Jean-Jacques.
Thank you, grazie Sara.
Ciao Sara Zilalaland, Jean-Jacques Pillet.
Vi aspetto presto con un nuovo guest e una nuova storia. Join me. Baci e abbracci. Sara Zilalaland.